नमस्कार दोस्तों और जय हिंद। आप सभी को स्वागत है इन माय चैनल 1971 वॉर बुक सीरीज। तो एक्चुअली मैं आज एक नॉट अ वॉरियर के बारे में बात करने वाला हूं। आज मैं बात करने वाला हूं वेस्ट बंगाल का स्टेट्समैन का एक जाने माने जर्नलिस्ट जो 1971 के जंग में बांग्लादेश में घुस गया था टू फाइंड आउट व्हाट वाज एग्जैक्टली हैपनिंग after the commencement of Operation Searchlight in East Pakistan by the Pakistani forces। उन्होंने खुद from the end of March 1971 से बांग्लादेश के अंदर मुक्ति बाहिनी के साथ मिलके बहुत सारे जगह में गए थे जहां पे मुक्ति बाहिनी ने ऑर्गेनाइज्ड डिफेंस रेडी किया था, जहां पे पाकिस्तानी फौज ने बहुत सारे मैसेकर्स किए थे and even he was shot at by the Pakistani forces। He had to take the help of BSF and the Mukti Bahini alongside photographers from the Indian press to help him in this venture of bringing out the ground zero report from East Pakistan। जब भारतीय फौज ने बांग्लादेश में हमला किया था और मुक्ति बाहिनी के साथ मिलके पाकिस्तानी फौज का कोरमा बनाया था, तब तो वो ऑफिशियली एक वॉर कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट बन गए थे फॉर द इंडियन आर्मीज 9 इन्फेंट्री डिवीजन एंड ही वाज वन ऑफ द मैन हु हैड कवर्ड द सरेंडर ऑफ द पाकिस्तानी 107 इन्फेंट्री ब्रिगेड टू द इंडियन आर्मीज 9 इन्फेंट्री डिवीजन एट खुलना सर्किट हाउस। सो लेट्स वेलकम टू आवर प्रोग्राम former legendary journalist of the Statesman, Mr. Manash Ghosh। So today I am at the home of Mr. Manash Ghosh, who was actually a war correspondent during the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War, and it's actually a very much of an honor to finally meet you, sir.
My pleasure.
And thank you, sir, for giving me the grand opportunity to finally talk to you, where you can share about your experiences that you had as a journalist in the 71 war. So I would like you to sort of like begin. How did you actually get involved as a journalist, and then how you have taken part in going and noticing the action that was happening in the war, sir? I know that the Indian Army came a bit later on, and like you were involved in covering the Mukti Bahini operations at times, and also noticing the Pakistani Army atrocities that were happening because you went in a bit before the Indian Army, right, sir?
Very much.
So, if you could talk about that, I would. Everybody could get to know.
My involvement as a war correspondent, there was a censorship. The Pakistan government had imposed censorship on all news emanating from Dhaka, from then East Pakistan.
Right.
So nothing was coming out or getting published in the newspaper. And in those days, newspapers and radio broadcasts were the main sources of information. So, but they were getting no information as to what was happening in East Pakistan, especially the genocidal attack of the 25th March night, Operation Searchlight. Nobody knew except, one dispatch from Dhaka in Delhi Telegraph by Salmon Ring, who hoodwinked the Pakistan Army and chose to stay behind in Dhaka and go around Dhaka during night on 26th and 27th March night, and saw the extent of the killings that had happened. So except his dispatch, which appeared in Delhi Telegraph in London, except that there was hardly any information coming out, and whatever was coming out, they were so few and far between, and that it was not the kind of interest. It didn't address the interest of the people as to what was happening in Bangladesh, indeed in East Pakistan.
So even at that time in
I was very much here, and in fact that prompted me. In fact, I got a dressing down from a very senior Indian MP the Communist Party of India, Mr. Bhupesh Gupta, whom I met on 27th March at a get together, and he asked me the whereabouts of Sheikh Mujib. I said till then, nobody knew what had happened to Sheikh Mujib's fate. Nobody knew that he had been taken to West Pakistan and imprisoned there. So he asked me that, and Bhupesh Gupta was very close to Mrs. Gandhi. He was one of her closest confidants, and he was basically her eyes and ears, political eyes and ears. One of the, not the only.
Maybe in West Bengal.
No, not West Bengal. He used to stay in Delhi, and since he was from Dhaka, he had wide contacts with the left leaders of the Bangladesh left movement. So he was a very respected figure in the left movement in the subcontinent. So Mrs. Gandhi used to get a lot of feedback from him also. So when he asked me that, aren't you ashamed that you call yourself a reporter of the Statesman, a paper like Statesman reporter, you don't know what's happening there. That night I could not sleep because the dressing down I got from him, it hurt my ego, journalistic ego. I said I must do something. Next day what happened was there was a small news item which appeared in almost all the papers. It was a Bangkok Dateline story which quoted eyewitnesses. It was a Reuters or AP, I think it was AP report. It was an AP report which quoted foreign returnees who had come back from Dhaka by the first flight after the operation, Searchlight, and who were quoted as saying that large-scale devastation had taken place, large-scale killings had taken place. It was almost, he had seen lorries carrying hundreds of dead bodies. Hundreds of dead bodies were being carried in out of Dhaka city for burial outside Dhaka. So that report, when I read it, and I said, well, I think something can be done. I said, and we were getting reports that, in Jessore, which was just across the border, fighting was on between the Mukti Bahini had not come into being till then. It was a Sanjukta Sangram Parishad, volunteers of Sanjukta Sangram Parishad who were fighting the Pakistan army, and they had pushed the Pakistani military back into the cantonment from the town. So I said, I must go to Jessore and see what's happening. So
at that time you were based in Kolkata.
Kolkata. I was based in Kolkata. I was not assigned. I was not assigned. I, on my own, with a photographer office photographer, he also volunteered. We went via Bashirhat, Itindaghat to Shatkhira, Ghojaranga border. Across the border, the BSF would not let us cross. Said we are not allowing Indians to go to this, very highly unsafe. And this is an area which is infested with Jamaat Razakars. Okay. So it will be very unsafe. We can't let you go like this. I said, I'm writing it down that I am going there across at my own risk, and no one else is responsible but for me if anything happens, untoward happens to me. So they let me go, and I reached Shatkhira. That was 31st March, mind you. It was 31st March. I spent the night at Shatkhira. The local volunteers of the Parishad, they put me and our photographer, Mr. Shudin Roy, who stayed in Wabda Guest House. Wabda Guest House. And next morning, we were woken up saying that a fire brigade truck was going to Jessore with replenishment and arms and EPR Jawans, and if we wanted to go to Jessore, we could hop a ride in that vehicle.
Okay.
So, which we did readily, and we reached Jessore. We left Satkhira at about 7 in the morning, reached Jessore around 11ish.
Okay.
It took us almost 4 hours. On the way, there were small towns like Jikorgacha. We reached, our vehicle was stopped in the outskirts of Jessore town. There's a place called Chachor Moor. Chachor, there's a Rajbari there. It's a huge Rajbari. It's a desolate. Only it used to be a palace once upon a time, but it had fallen on hard times. It's turned into a big basti where poor people live. And there our vehicle was stopped by the Shangram Parishad volunteers. And they said, come and see what kind of killing has been done. They were all crying, absolutely. And we got down. We were taken to a water body, a huge pond, where we found a pyramid-like, bodies had been stacked one over the other like a pyramid. And the bodies were mostly of females in burqas.
These were just civilians.
Civilians who had been killed by the Pakistani army, and their bodies stacked like a pyramid on the bank of that water body pond. Blood was still oozing out of their bodies, and it was so ghastly sight that I just couldn't stand. The photographer refused to take pictures, saying that I can't, I have never seen such a ghastly sight in my life. So I said, you have to take it. He took pictures. Then we went to town. We went to a place called Pilkhana, where fighting was on between.
I mean, this is Pilkhana close to Jessore area, not Dhaka.
No. Jessore area. There's a Pilkhana there also.
Okay.
Outside the cantonment. They had built mud walls, behind which they had taken up positions, these EPR men.
Okay.
And I saw the Flagstaff house of Jessore cantonment with Pakistan flag flying on top. And firing was going on, intense firing was going on. And
at that time, I guess Pakistanis were attacking the 1st East Bengal Regiment and the 7th Field Ambulance. Bengali soldiers. Because there was a fighting.
That was, that kind of fighting was on all throughout. But here they had been driven back into the cantonment by the volunteers of the Shangram Parishad. They were pushed back. They fought back heroically, and suddenly there was a burst of a mortar shell, which came and hit the bunker, one of the bunkers of the positions of the EPR, and I was told that I better move out, otherwise my life would be at stake. He says, "Aapni chole jane kin theke, otherwise you might get hurt."
Okay.
Because the Pakistan we find they're intensifying their attack.
Okay.
So I moved out in a jeep, provided with the Shangram Parishad volunteers. They took me around the whole of town, and I found the morale very high, very high. There was no electricity, no water in Jessore town at that time. All the offices were closed, government bands, nothing was working. And volunteers with bandoliers across their chest and guns in hand were moving around the town and firing shots in the air. And when they came to know that in Calcutta a reporter had come to cover the war, they were too happy. And they fired bursts of gunfire into the air in happiness. And so after about 2 hours, I had a fairly good impression that people were really fighting back, and they were not going to put down their arms just like this. until the victory was achieved.
Okay.
I was convinced about it from the discussions that I had with the Mukti Joddhas. আমরা জিতেই
We will win or we will die.
We will die. So, and there was no food, mind you. There was no food. They were carrying tins of biscuits with them, and there was no water, nothing of the kind.
Okay.
Only a few serviceable hand pumps were working. Outside which there were long, huge queues of people.
Okay.
It was terrible sight. It was a terrible sight. Suddenly I found two small planes flying over, doing a recce of the town.
Pakistani planes.
Pakistani planes. They wanted to see the positions of the Mukti Joddhas. The planes came when we reached the fire station, Jasso fire station. Suddenly the vehicle, the driver stopped the vehicle and moved up the tower, the watchtower of the fire brigade, and on top, and started firing at the planes. Okay. And the planes sped away. And I said, now whatever I had to know about the kind of fight that was being put up by the Bengalis, I had all the details. I better go return back to town.
Okay.
So I came back loaded with pictures, and there was.
By now it was April.
This was 31st March.
31st March.
This was 31st March.
Okay.
While coming back, I returned via Benapol Petropol border. There I, for the first time, saw Hindu refugees with their belongings on their head and in their arms, coming over to India, heading towards the Indian border. Okay. And I reported it. I said, already there's an exodus. And next day, my story, that was the first eyewitness account of a war, on the spot, eyewitness account of war, backed with pictures. The Statesman carried my dispatch as page 1 story with picture under block, and one page was devoted to entirely to the pictures.
Okay.
About the town, about the Mukti Joddhas and all. So next day the Statesman got sold in half an hour to an hour's time after they hit the newsstand.
Okay.
And it was sold in the black for, it was then 8 annas, I think. It was sold for 5 rupees, 6, 7 rupees in the black. The news vendors, paper vendors made good money that day. They made good money that day, and that whetted my appetite. The news was read by, the same news appeared in the Delhi edition of the Statesman also, and Delhi being the base of all the foreign correspondents, at once it caught the attention of Delhi-based South Asian correspondents of London Times, Guardian, and they came rushing to Calcutta the same day. So in the morning only they arrived, after reading. They arrived and came to Statesman in search of me, just to know, whether they could accompany me to, whether I was contemplating. That day it was very hectic. It had been a very hectic day for me. I decided not to go to take rest. They came to my residence. I was then a bachelor. I was living in a bachelor's flat with my servant, and they came to my house, a modest one-room tenement, and said that they wanted to accompany me wherever I went. The news caught the attention of people in Delhi. Bhupesh Babu, who had said me such very rude things about me, about my professional abilities and all, he read my report in the Delhi edition of the Statesman, and he called back saying that uh, he called the Calcutta office.
Okay.
But since I was not there, I was taking rest. An office car came and fetched me and said the editor wanted to meet me.
Okay.
He met me and said that my report was very objective and it had created a stir, and that he said that henceforth there will be a car available to me every day early in the morning to take me to any of the borders that I wanted to visit, with the rider that I should not take excessive risk. I should not go deep inside and get killed. If that happens,
very risky because fighting was going on all the time.
Fighting was going on, and just then the report had come in that two freelancers of Amrita Bajar Putrika, Deepak Bandyopadhyay and another one, some Ghosha, Surajit Ghosha, they were killed. In Kumilla side. In Tripura, they had crossed over from Agartala border, and they were trapped and they were slaughtered.
Kolkata Press Club has a memorial
dedicated to them.
Yeah.
So the editor said that you better be careful. Statesman won't be responsible if anything happens to you. I said, you don't worry, sir. It's my responsibility. But the next day, that was 2nd or 3rd April, I went to Gede border. Gede.
Opposite is Darsana.
There's a rail line which was no longer in use.
Actually, now it has been.
It is operational. Yeah. It is operational. But then it was under covered with bushes and all, and infested with snakes and all. So I wanted to go over. The BSF would not allow me. They said that there's lots of snakes there, and there is a nala also. If you fall into that nala, you had it. There's a lot of water in it, and they asked me whether I knew swimming. I said I don't know, but then said no one will be able to save you. So I again said that I'm going there at my own risk. So at my own risk, I balanced my way through those railway tracks and entered the Darshana station precincts, because adjoining is the station. As the border ends, international border ends, the premises of Darshana station starts, railway station. And there the people were waiting for me. Shangbadik Kolkata থেকে আইছেন? Yes, come to cover the war. Nothing is happening here. You'll have to go to Chuadanga, we'll get a car for you. They put me in a jeep and I reached Chuadanga. That was the first time I went to Abu Osman Chaudhry's Western Command headquarters. And there met Dr. Ashabul Haq also, the local MPA, member of the Provincial Assembly. They were a bit surprised that an Indian correspondent had come all the way from Calcutta. And Ashabul Haq was a radical humanist, mind you, follower of the founder of radical humanism. What's his name? I forget. Whatever it is, I went through the town. While I was there, the word had gone around that the Chuadanga had become the sector headquarter of the Western Command, the Shangram Purishad. And where the police and EPR men had joined forces, and they had already taken over that area, especially taken charge of Kushtia town. They had one company of, I think it's, again, I think it was a Baluch regiment.
Baluch regiment.
Which had been
the exact name, maybe it was some
seventh Baluch.
It was a double-digit Baluch regiment. I don't remember. Major Shohrab was commanding that company, and he was killed. His company was completely destroyed by the Mukti Bahini later on. And Kushtia.
So
I'll find
they had hoisted the flag. They took charge of Kushtia also, this joint command of police and EPR men, and freed the town from the Pakistani army, hoisted the flag, Bangladesh flag, and unfurled the flag on top of the Choda command headquarters also. So while I was there, I was very lucky that I didn't get killed. There was a bombing attack of Pakistan Air Force. They came and attacked the barracks of EPR. And I think 50 to 60 men got killed who were there inside the barracks. And it was a ghastly sight. And so I decided to come back to Kolkata. There was a photographer again with me, and reported the ghastly incident and reported the matter, and that also with pictures, illustrated with pictures, carried a lot of weight. One day the next day, that day itself, when the news appeared in Statesman, that day I got a call from one General Sarkar.
Major General B.N. Sarkar.
B.N. Sarkar.
He's called Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Aviator glasses, I've seen his picture. Yeah.
Jimmy. He was very close to, I came to know later, very close to Manekshaw. And Manekshaw had entrusted him with the task of finding out as to what was happening inside. His job was to, he said, I have read your report, I have read your Jassore report, this report also. So I'm coming over, I'll meet you at the United Services Officers Club at Fort William. When I come, I'll have the car sent to you. So my reports were getting noticed in the right circles, and
because the Indian Army needed to know what was happening, so that they could evaluate everything.
Very much so. And in the meantime, I got to know that some very senior leaders of the Awami League had crossed over to India. Who they were and where they were staying, I didn't know. But they were very senior leaders, very senior leaders. So I had a very good friend, very senior to me in the profession, Shukharanjan Shengupta of Jugantur. He had good contacts in the intelligence. He told me that a fellow called Tajuddin, because Tajuddin was not a very known name. It was all Mujib. It was all Mujib and nobody else whom we knew. He had come with 2-3 senior leaders, and they had been moved away to Delhi for a meeting with Mrs. Gandhi. They said to talk to Golok Majumdar. So next day I went to Golok Babu. He told me that yes, he had gone and brought them from the border to Delhi, and they had gone to Delhi for a meeting with Mrs. Gandhi. Mrs. Gandhi wanted to meet them so as to know, the real ground situation, what was happening in Bangladesh. Because what Delhi was, our Deputy High Commissioner in Dhaka had been closed down by then.
Okay.
So there were no regular reports.
Mhm.
Whatever was coming via Islamabad was third, fourth, fifth hand reports.
Yeah.
So Delhi had no knowledge as to what was happening.
And they wouldn't say what they were doing in
Absolutely, absolutely.
You covered the provisional government taking oath.
I'll tell you. So Mrs. Gandhi wanted to meet them, and she met them on 3rd of April. 3rd of April, at the PMO. And prior to their arrival, prior to Tajuddin's arrival and Barrister Amirul Islam's arrival, two senior economists, Rahman Soban and Anisur Rahman, they had already landed in Delhi. They were good friends of Ashok Mitra, who was Prime Minister's economic advisor then, Mrs. Gandhi's economic advisor. They were very close to Ashok Mitra.
Okay.
So they, via Bangkok, came to Delhi without any passport, without any visa, nothing of the kind. So they were stopped at they took the name of Ashok Mitra, and Ashok Mitra went running to the airport, brought them to his house, and took them to P.N. Huxley, Prime Minister Secretary.
Okay.
Prime Minister Secretary, and there they gave him some kind of a lowdown, a broad outline about what had happened, and Huxley said that Tajuddin and Amirul Islam were on way to Delhi, so they will be having a meeting with Mrs. Gandhi. So the first meeting in Delhi, Tajuddin asked for help from India. He said that what he said sounded just like what King Porus told Alexander the Great, that I want to be treated like a head of a independent government of Bangladesh, of a sovereign country, and if you are willing to give me that kind of treatment, I will I will seek help from you. Okay. Otherwise, I will not stay in India. I will move out. What will Mrs. Gandhi said? There is no problem. We'll give you all the protocols that a head of a government enjoys, and he was given that. He says that's not a problem. So first thing he said that I need arms equipment for my boys who are willing to fight till the end. They are determined to make East Pakistan, Bangladesh, an independent country, and we need your help. So Mrs. Gandhi said, that's all right, I agree, but then first you have to have a government of your own. So we already have a government. It has already been formed under Sheikh Mujib as the president. I am the Prime Minister. He said that is between you and the party hierarchy, known to party hierarchy, but it's not known to outside world. So what you have to do is you have to form a government of your own in India, in full view of foreign correspondents and Indian correspondents. Do a swearing-in ceremony inside a territory which is still controlled by your forces, and we shall provide the security, needed security, and that is because when the swearing-in is on and if the Pakistanis start coming in, and that be a total loss of face. So Tajuddin said, exactly, I am also thinking on the same line. He said, already there are about 100 odd foreign correspondents in Calcutta. I am asking my people to get them together, and now you have to find a place where the swearing-in ceremony will take place. So he told Rustamji, the DG BSF, that find a suitable place. So they consulted the map of Bangladesh. They found a place which is surrounded on three sides by India. It juts into the Indian territory. So, if there is any emergency, the Indian forces from three sides can enter and take on the Pakistanis
if needed.
if that eventuality happens. So, what happened? The PRO of the military and the BSF, one Mr. Shamor Bose, they got in touch with all the foreign correspondents. They visited each and every hotel in Calcutta and to find out whether foreign correspondents are staying, and extended an invitation that on 17th morning, early morning at 4 in the morning, you have to reach the Calcutta Press Club, from where we'll take you to an unknown destination. It was not revealed that,
It would be Meherpur.
Meherpur, it would be Buddhanath-Tala, Meherpur. So we'll take you to an unknown destination. So that led to a lot of surprise. What this unknown destination, where to and for what? Nobody could, guess that. Well, government in exile was in the making. So early in the morning of 17th at 4, I was also in that motorcade of 60 cars. Left Calcutta, along headed by Golok Muzumdar, and is under the protection of special commandos. Tajuddin Ahmed, Sayyid Nazrul Islam, and other members of his government who were to be sworn in were in the motorcade, in the cars. I found Barrister Amirul Islam reading the Declaration of Independence Charter, and so it took us almost 4 hours to reach Buddhanath-Tala.
Okay.
The foreign correspondents were mighty displeased. They want to know what is this joke that was going on. Buddhanath-Tala, I don't know whether it's a huge mango grove is there, huge mango grove, and it was sweet smell of mango flowers had filled there, and it was, and it provided, the grove provided natural, protection
Against Pakistani.
air raid. So there we found that a stage was being set up, microphones had been arranged, a guard of honor had been was being there during the rehearsal. Group of artists were singing our Sonar Bangla and all, and certainly the lighter side of it is that there was no musical instruments were available.
Okay.
So word was sent to the neighboring Indian villages across the border to get a harmonium and a tabla. So they were requisitioned, they were found and brought. So these are and eventually the program started. The place was teeming with people, teeming. They were on top of trees, trying to get a look as to what was happening there down below. A stage had been set up, microphone system was working, there was a flag staff on which the Bangladesh flag was being tied up, which was to be hoisted, and suddenly the announcement started that there will be a declaration of independence, saying that from this government in exile is being formed on the basis of the results of the Pakistan 8th December elections of 1970. All those representatives who were elected to the National Assembly, Pakistan Assembly, are its MPs, and they are the ministers, some of whom will take as oath as, as ministers of the interim government, the government exile. So it started, the declaration was gone through. The whole idea was that it was a legally constituted government which had people's mandate, uh, democratically elected. So there's nothing illegal about it, or nothing was being foisted upon. The people's choice was getting reflected in its formation. And so there was.
And you covered it.
I covered it. Sayyid Nazrul Islam was made the acting president, in the absence of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Tajuddin was the prime minister. This man, Khundaka Mushtaq, was the foreign minister. M.A.G. Osmani was the commander-in-chief of the three services, and the defense minister also, and the home minister was Kamrul Zaman. And there was guard of honor given to Nazrul Islam. The national anthem was played, and the whole place was reverberating with slogans like Joy Bangla, Joy Bangla, Sheikh Mujib, Sheikh Mujib, Tomar Neta, Amar Neta, Sheikh Mujib, Sheikh Mujib, Bangladesh, Shirojibi Hope. All kinds of slogans were being raised at the venue, and people had really gone wild. That that something was happening towards Bangladesh's independence. One step had been taken. So we all came back. The foreign journalists, they got a shock that such a thing had been done in such a massive, all throughout this. Golok Mulda was there. He kept telling us, "Tatari kun, jikono shomoy oghoton ghute jete pare, anything can happen anytime. So be quick with your engagements." And it took about 1.5 hours to get all the programs through, and we came back to Calcutta. There was one urgency for Golok Mulda to come back to Calcutta was that next day he had already arranged Hossein Ali, who was the Deputy High Commissioner of Pakistan in Calcutta, that he will switch his allegiance to the interim government.
They were going to defect.
They were going to defect. So Hossein Ali, and we reached Calcutta late in the evening, and it created a stir. The foreign correspondents were taken aback that such a major thing had happened without much fanfare and all, without anybody knowing it. The Pakistanis were taken aback that such a thing had happened. But the foreign correspondents knew that now that it's a different ball game.
And this was after the 10th of April.
This was the 10th of April. 18th, 17th April was the swearing-in ceremony. 18th was the defection, and that changed the complete. That was a turning point, mind you. That was a turning point. It sent the message all over the world that all the Bengalis who were serving in the Pakistan Foreign Service, they should switch their allegiance to the government in exile, and that's what exactly happened. That's what exactly happened. There are many interesting stories. Hossein Ali was not willing to defect. He was not willing to defect. His concern was that there were 65 employees at the High Commission, Deputy High Commission, Pakistan High Commission, and majority were Punjabis and Biharis. Bengalis were in minority. And if they defected, about 20 odd were Bengalis, who will pay their salary and all. So it was ensured that the government of India, Golok Majumdar, and assured him that that will be my problem, that will be the problem of Government of India. The Government of India will freeze the Pakistan High Commission funds that are lying in foreign banks in India, and they will payment will be made from those frozen assets. So, and but it took a lot of persuasion. A special meeting was arranged that night, that 17th night. Hussain Ali, there used to be a very famous restaurant in Park Street called Blue Fox.
Okay.
Blue Fox. The owner was one Mr. Kapoor. He was persuaded. One of Golok Muzumdar's good friends, civilian friends, was one Mr. Nihar Chakraborty.
Okay.
Nihar Chakraborty was a good friend of Kapoor. He persuaded him that you have to close down your restaurant for the evening because of this meeting will be held inside your restaurant. Because Hussain Ali knew that he was doing
top secret.
it was a top secret thing. So that night also, on 17th night, also Hussain Ali had a meeting with Golok, and Golok assured that everything is okay, everything is set. He said, but we are still feeling insecure. He said, we'll have the entire High Commission, Deputy High Commission surrounded by commandos. Don't worry, nothing will happen to anybody. I will ensure security guard at all the residences, at all the residences of Bengali
High Commission
officials, Bengali officials. So then only he agreed. So next morning, this Golok Mazumdar sat outside the main entrance of High Commission, Deputy High Commission, wearing a lungi and a skull cap with a mustache, looking like a boot polish wala, and asking passers-by to get their shoes polished for ₹1. And Rustamji was posed as a morning walker, was walking up and down the road, Circus Avenue, just to keep an eye that things were moving in the right direction. At 8 in the morning, Hussain Ali went to the top of the building, the floor, to the roof of the building, and unfurled the Bangladesh flag, lowered the Pakistani flag, and that created instantly All India Radio made the announcement that Hussain Ali had defected, and it created such a stir. Whole Calcutta just made a beeline for the Pakistan High Commission. There was such a big rush that the special Shamiana had to be put up there, where singers, musicians, artists of all description, of all disciplines, singers like Hemanta Kumar, Shondha Mukherjee, they all came and started singing songs, patriotic songs, and Banglar Mati Banglar Jol Banglar Fall, Donno Hok Hey Bhagavan. All kinds of patriotic songs were sung by them, and there was magic in the air. The Pakistanis were taken aback that another coup had been staged, and
this time on Indian soil.
On Indian soil, and no one had a faintest idea that it was going to happen. So that was a major turning point, the Bangladesh war, and the series of defections that started taking place from that day onwards. It was followed by defection at the UN, where Bengali staffers defected en masse in New York. And the same thing happened in Delhi, but things started moving. I mean,
and you covered all of these.
All this in Calcutta. Whatever was happening in Calcutta, I covered it.
So did you
And-
go in again, sir?
And then I went again via Chodana to Pabna.
Pavna.
Pabna. Pabna, that was with my photographer and another colleague of mine, called Chandrasekhar Shotkar. And we, from Chodana, the DC Pabna had come to Chodana to get reinforcements and replenishments, arms replenishment,
Okay.
to improve their firepower, because Pabna had just been liberated by the freedom fighters.
Okay.
So he had come there to seek shipment of arms and ammunition. And I found this DC Pabna, Nurul Qadir Khan, sitting inside the command headquarters. And I told him that I wanted to go to Pabna with him. He said, "You can go, but at your own cost. That will be terribly risky for you." Osman Chaudhry said that you will be found out if you are caught, and you will be slaughtered then and there if you get caught by
Pakistani.
even not by Pakistanis, by Razakars or their henchmen. So it will be very difficult for you to run away. He said, "I advise against you going there." I said, "No, this chance comes once in a lifetime, and I don't want to miss it. I don't want to waste it." And no train services were running then in East Pakistan, in Leaden, East Pakistan. But somehow they were able to manage one engine and two dilapidated coaches, railway coaches, in which all these Indian weapons and ammunition were loaded. And one was right up to the roof, was loaded with ammunition. And the one in which Qadir Khan, the DC Pabna, and then my colleagues were traveling, we had to sit on heaps of ammunition crates. And we left for Pabna in the evening at 5, but not knowing whether the train will ever reach its destination in Ishurdi, because at many points the lines had been, tracks had been uprooted by people on their own. So the driver, there was no driver, all the train drivers used to be Biharis, and they had all fled from Chodana. So somehow someone was located, and he was specially instructed that he should go at a snail's pace of 5 kilometers per hour, so that in case there was any derailment, it won't be of any serious nature. So we left Chodana at 5 in the evening, and
So what did you cover after entering Pabna?
Pabna, went from Pabna and met the Mukti Jodhas, Rafiqul Islam, Bokul, Iqbal and all. And the president of Bangladesh, Tipu, he was there. Then he had seen me. He has read my book and said that I had seen him going around Pabna. I seen him in the DC's office also. So we were in
This
Pabna.
was in May.
No, April 10th. April 10th. So while I was in Nurul Qadir's office, DC's office, Colonel Huda, he was then Captain Huda. He was then Captain Huda. He rushed in and said that he was just coming from Nagurwadi Ghat, where the Pakistanis reinforcements had just landed in 5 big, huge ferries with lot of troops and trucks, and they were heading for Pabna. That and if we want to, he said you should leave Pabna immediately, or you will be caught. So the message was that we better leave Pabna immediately. So this Nur Kadir told me that my instruction is to go to India in such an eventuality. If you are coming, then you come with me. I said, I'm coming with you only. There was this huge, mighty river Padma in between. If we had to flee Pabna, we had to cross the river. And mind you, April is the month of nor'wester Kalbushaki. And we could see, black clouds hovering in the horizon, dark clouds. And that nor'wester was in the offing, we could make out. We went in land cruisers. Before that, he went to all the banks, collected all the cash, and we loaded them into trunks and suitcases, huge suitcases, loaded them into the land cruisers and headed for Poddachor. Now, mind you, there are small little villages on Poddachor where the Majis live. We went to the first Maji village. There, the Maji said, no way I can row you across, because can't you see, huge nor'wester is coming. And if we are caught, we all will be dead. Alan, you know swimming, no problem. Knowing swimming is no problem. No safeguard, no safeguard. So we went to the second village. Same was the response. No way, we can row you across. We went to the third village. An idea struck me. I told the DC that you have to show them that if you you take us across the river, you'll promise the Majis that you'll get the half of the money that we are taking with us. Then the mood changed of all the Majis at once. They said, "Sir, dua karen, jan apne par korte pari sir." And he said, we got into the boats, and the Majis furiously they started rowing. And the color of the river water was turning black. I told Majis that, look, I don't know to swim. If I fall off the boat, will you rescue me? They said, knowing swimming is of no help here. Now we all die. We all die. You will die, we will die. So it's not a problem. Allah's kache dua karen. By the time we had almost reached the bank, that was I still believe that there is God. There is God. God had willed that we should all get across and let the world know about the Bangladesh war. When we had almost reached the river bank, the bank was, say, about about 200-300 meters from the boat. There was a hailstorm, started raining down. And he said, Ubu hai boshun. And we knelt down on the deck of the boats, and they started raining out. Pite ei dom এত বড় সে তো আর তার মধ্যে আমাদের ফটোগ্রাফার যিনি ছিলেন শ্যামা দাস ঘোষ, he was an asthmatic patient. He started an asthmatic attack. However, by God's grace, we reached the bank. We went to the village along with the DC. My book has all the pictures, mind you. Okay. We went to the village, spent the night there, and he said, Nur Kadir said, early in the morning I'll give you an escort who will take you to Kushtia town. Okay. But from here till a place called Kumar Khali, you'll have to walk on foot, which is about 6, 7, 8 kilometers. Okay. There is no only village tracks. So early in the morning you leave, I'll give you an escort. So the escort was a college student who knew English, and we left the village hut at 4 in the morning. while going through the village, villagers get early in the morning. And they go to the fields to work. So they found us, especially me, very different. And
this is not a local.
This is not a local. And they started following us. And what I could discern from their conversation was, we were saying Punjabi palai, halare dhar.
They must have thought that you were Pakistani.
I'm a Punjabi fleeing Pakistan. So suddenly, one group of villagers, they overtook us, went ahead of us, and they blocked our road. They had huge ramdas in their hand, and
they would have.
No. They said, we won't let you go. Who are you? So the escort said, আপনি পেছনে যান তো, চলে যান, আপনি আমি কথা বলছি ওদের সাথে। So না না পাঞ্জাবি বাঙালি নন, বাঙালি দেখতে নন, বুঝছেন না কেমন চিকন দেখতে, চিকন বলে, ফর্সা চিকন দেখতে, বাঙালি নয় পাঞ্জাবি বলে, হালারে এখানেই কার্টুন বলে টলে তো বলছে, বলে না না ভারতীয় সাংবাদিক কলকাতা হইতে আইছে। So he came running, the escort came running to him, do you have an ID card? আমার কাছে ছিল, দিলাম। তো ওরা তো আর গ্রামের লোকেরা পড়ে না। Fortunately, in the meantime, the villagers had called someone from their village who knew English and who was a friend of this escort. ওকে পড়তে বলেছে, তো তখন ওকে বোঝাচ্ছে যে হ্যাঁ ভারতীয় সাংবাদিক কলকাতা হইতে আইছে। তো
that is when he realized, okay.
The tune changed completely. And they said, আমি বললাম আপনার যদি সন্দেহ হয় আমি পাঞ্জাবি, তাহলে এই তো এখান থেকে আর 3-4 কিলোমিটার আছে, এতে যান, বলে ওই গ্রামে আছেন নুরুল কাদের খান, ডিসি পাবনা, হ্যাঁ আমি পাঞ্জাবি না আমি ভারতীয়। সেটা দরকার হলো না, বলে তখন ছেড়ে দিল। সে তখন গাছে উঠে পেড়ে পেড়ে দিচ্ছে, কি হলো ডাব, তো ওখান থেকে মানে মরার হাত থেকে মানে একেবারে থ্রোজ অফ ডেথ, দিস ওয়াজ রিটার্ন ফ্রম দ্য থ্রোজ অফ ডেথ। সার্ভাইভ করে ফিরে আসলাম, এসে হয়ে কি বলে কুষ্টিয়া হয়ে কিন্তু দর্শনা হয়ে গেদে হয়ে অফিসে কলকাতা। So that was the challenge was, as a journalist, the challenge how to send your report. You have to be physically back in office to write the report. Otherwise, there is no way you could file your report. So the challenges were manifold and numerous in those days, unlike our present days. I had gone to 3-4 other major operations. One was near Sarda Police Academy on the Ganga, where very bold operation was to be carried out by a select group of Mukti Jodhas who were to throw grenades at the police academy when there was to be an investiture ceremony to be held there on 14th August, mind you. There is Pakistan's National Day. Right. So that day was that coincide with that day. So, but somehow our presence was noticed by the Pakistanis, and they came in their gunboats. They opened fire on you? I'm telling you. But those who were to carry out the operation, they had already, swam across the Ganga and reached the village, designated village where they were to stay at that night and carry out the attack the next day. But in the meantime, these gunboats had come. And they noticed we were There were Mukti Jodhas in our big, it was a big country boat. Goina Nonko bole, Goina Nonko. So they fired fusillade shots. একটা তো কানের পাশ দিয়ে বেরিয়ে গেল, একজন মুক্তিযোদ্ধার তো যে
One shot went past your ear.
হ্যাঁ it just grazed past my ear, and fortunately I was safe. One Muktijoddha was hit in the arm, and so the operation was called off. The operation was called off, and there was a BSF officer, commandos in our boat also. In case they had to be, they had to counter the Pakistani.
So BSF guys were with you.
With us.
This was in August.
August.
Okay.
Oh. So they started firing back.
Okay.
And they, from a grenade launcher, fired a shot from the boat, and the Pakistani gunboat went up in flames. Cinema যেমনি দেখায় না,
That's how it exploded.
Explode করে একেবারে আমার ফুয়েল ট্যাঙ্কে গিয়ে লেগেছিল।
It must have hit the fuel tank.
একেবারে, and
That is, I mean, extraordinary, I guess.
so next day the operation had to be called off. The fellow who had sustained the bullet injury, he had to be hospitalized. We came back to Jalangi in Murshidabad, and those who had gone to carry out the operation, they too swam back.
Okay.
In the night only, because they had heard the gunshots and all, so
they had to come
they knew that the operation was over. So that was another experience. The last experience was this was all on my own initiative, that I had gone inside Bangladesh. In the meantime, after the signing of the Indo-Soviet Treaty, the government of India wanted, they knew that the war was coming, and there would be an Indo-Pakistan major clash.
Indian Army will go in.
So I was made a war correspondent, and I moved in with the soldiers.
So which areas did you cover, sir?
Jasor, fall of Jasor, 6th December.
Okay.
The entire army moved from Benapur to Jasor and surrounded Jasor from all sides. And the Pakistani brigade,
107 brigade,
had to vacate the cantonment and headed for Hulla.
Okay.
In the hope that they will be able to, the Pakistan government will make some arrangement to rescue them. Later on, it had been given the false hope that the 7th Fleet will come and rescue them. Whatever it is, so they went down the Jasor-Khulna road, headed towards Khulna, but we got stuck at Fultola for 3 nights, from 13th December to 16th December. And this Hayat just won't, even after being repeatedly told over the wireless that your chief has surrendered in Dhaka, so lay down arms, surrender.
This must be on the 16th.
This was on the 16th.
Okay.
Lay down arms, surrender. Only when they felt that, well, if we don't surrender to the Indian Army, and
if the Muktis
get us, then it will be all hell. So better surrender to the Indian Army. It suddenly dawned on them that the Americans are not going to rescue them. 7th Fleet is not coming. It has already turned back and gone back to the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
It was no longer in the Bay of Bengal. So they thought that, well, the game is up. Now it's better and wiser to surrender to the Indian Army. So on 17th morning, at about 12 in the afternoon, suddenly there was a message from Hayat saying, and mind you, Hayat was the batchmate of
Brigadier Minto Tiwari.
Tiwari, correct. Tiwari. He was a 2IC. He was a 2IC.
32 Infantry Brigade Commander, Indian Army.
Indian Army. Tiwari. He was a small man. They were batchmates in IMA. The message came to Dalbir Singh that, well, he was willing to surrender, and he was driving down in a jeep, flying white flag, and he wanted an Indian officer to meet him halfway on the Khulna road, Khulna Jasur road. So Dalbir Singh, Major Dalbir Singh, designated Brigadier Tiwari to be his representative. He also flew a white flag, and I told Tiwari sahab, mere ko leke jana hi hai aapko. No, no. এইগুলোই তো গন্ডগোল করছে না Indian Army. This is the problem with the Indian Army. They have kept things to themselves so much that people don't know as to what kind of things
the Indian Army has done.
It is achievements. So I fell at Dalbir Singh's feet. I said, sir, please don't. So I am designated official war correspondent. If I am not allowed to go, तिवारी लेके जाना क्या है नहीं सर, मैंने तो उससे बात दिया है ना. ही इज माई बैचमेट, डोंट फॉरगेट. वी हैव गॉट लॉट ऑफ सेंटिमेंटल. ये क्या सेंटिमेंट मैंने मरवा रहा है यहाँ साला, हमारे इतना आदमी को मारा है.
A lot of people have died at Daulatpur, I guess.
সাংঘাতিক.
A lot of people.
আমাদের ম্যাড্রাস তো অর্ধেক খালি হয়ে গেছিল, এত মারা গেছে. আর শিখও মারা গেছিল.
Sikh regiment. We had taken a lot of casualties. First Jammu Kashmir Rifles.
তো কি বলে, the Pakistanis had fought valiantly. বলে জেনারেল পানাক তখন ছিল, he was a captain.
Fourth Sikh.
পানাক was there. তো আমি তো জিপেও গিয়েও পেছন দিক দিয়ে উঠে বসলাম.
This was on Minto Tiwari's jeep, Brigadier
Tiwari's jeep.
Okay.
তো ও নিজেই চালাচ্ছিল.
He was driving it himself.
Put your head down. You should not be visible. Put your head down behind my back.
He was trying to hide the war correspondent.
So that they don't see another person, coming with me.
Okay.
So I lowered my head behind him like this, and for the next 10 minutes, I just remained stationary and silent in that position.
Okay.
So suddenly the jeep came to a halt, and I found Tiwari getting down from the jeep, getting down and walking very cautious steps forward. I just craned my head and saw that he was trying to figure out whether it was really the same Hayat he used to know. No, he was figured out. And suddenly he was taking very cautious steps. I found Hayat also in distance. 6 foot. 6'4". He too was taking very cautious steps. There was nobody. And suddenly I found Tiwari running towards Hayat. And Hayat also running. Both of them could recognize one another.
Okay.
So it was a reunion of sorts. After
they were batchmates during the British time.
Yeah. They were probably the last or the penultimate batchmate. The British rule, the IMA. It is. So Hayat being tall and stout, he took Tiwari just like a child. Just like that. Got his arm around him and took him out, threw him out.
Okay.
And I just could not wait to I just couldn't afford to miss this scene. I also ran down. So I found, ये किसको ले आया तूने? I could hear him saying, बोले कुछ नहीं है तेरे को कोई डर नहीं है। তারপর তো আমি তো পৌঁছলাম Hath had the courtesy to come and shake hands. I said, sir, I'm a journalist. यहाँ पे भी रिपोर्ट करना है? नहीं sir, this is such a sentimental reunion of after how many years? Well, 40 साल तो हो गई। बोले टोले तो तिवारी बोलो तेरा गाड़ी इधर रख। Hath had his juniors waiting for him down the road. So they came in the jeep, took his jeep and went back. And Hath boarded Tiwari's jeep, sat next to him and started conversing. Both started conversing. ये बोलचे तूने साला इतना हमारा आदमी मारा, वो बोलचे तुमने क्या कम मारा, हमारा 5-6 से 7,000 लोग मारे गए. They started abusing one another, and then they reached the headquarters of the mountain dew. They got down, and then I came to the real story why he was surrendering. The fear of, while going towards this place where the reunion took place was very close to Daulatpur. It's an industrial area where there are lots of jute mills, and where Bihari workers were lot. They were slaughtered. They were slaughtered by the Mukti Bahini. Mukti Bahini people had already made inroads into their colonies, and they had slaughtered them. Their throats had been slit, stomach disemboweled. It was a horrible sight. So then I got to know that the officers of Brigadier Hath, they said, sir, it would be more honorable to and safe to surrender to Indian Army than Mukti Bahini. They will not provide us with any safeguards. So, and moreover, the Pakistan Army in Dhaka has already surrendered, so we better do likewise here also. So
surrender was on 17th.
17th, so একদিন পরে after Dhaka. 17th at 5. So it was decided that Brigadier had said, Dalbir asked him, how long will it take for your soldiers and to get around the circuit house Maidan? बोलो 2 घंटा तो लग ही जाएगा. तो बोलो tell all officers to come and have. She to Virat, the bada khana was arranged in honor of the
Indian Army.
No, in honor of the Pakistani Army. The surrendering army.
And the 9-day people arranged.
She to the first time I had seen this happening. It really it surprised me to such a shocked me, not surprised, shocked me to such an extent. Virat beer chest frigid. সব এসছে Port William থেকে. With beer bottles stacked with beer bottles and beer tins, beer mugs and
alcohol for the Pakistani Army.
তো আর এই কোথা থেকে কি করেছে জানি না, মুরগি এসছে প্রায় 1000 খানেক মুরগি.
1000 chickens
slaughtered to be cooked. বড়া খানা হচ্ছে. তো আমি বললাম স্যার, আর ইতিমধ্যে ও বলছে যে प्यास बहुत लगा है. The Pakistan officer is telling Indian officer, प्यास बहुत लगा है, और भी दो. And the Indian officers, I find them shove in their black fatigue. Tank officer যারা আছে, tank regiment এর তো black Batman এর আসছেন, অফিসাররা নিজেরাই এসে দিচ্ছে.
Officers brought these.
So I told them, sir, why did you find them? If you are
so nice to the enemy.
Nice to your enemy, you're more than nice to Pakistan. War is over. Now we are all brothers. That was. So I mean, Hayat ke jana, why did you fight? তো আমাকে বলেছিল
Hayat Khan said.
বইটাতে আছে. Don't ask me. Ask my president and ask my Niazi. He asked us to fight.
Okay.
That is the end. That is the end. And so this surrender ceremony took place exactly at 5 at Circuit House Maidan in Khulna. And the Mukti Yoddhas were baying for the blood of the Pakistani. Sir, there were Bengali officers also in the Indian Army. Sir, ওদের একটু আমাদের হাতে 5 মিনিটের দিয়ে দিন স্যার.
Bengali officers said this to you who are in the Indian Army or who are
No.
Mukti Bahini.
Mukti Bahini telling Bengali officers in the Indian Army, hand them over just for 5 minutes to us. Okay. We shall teach them some lesson and we'll hand them over back to you. তো হ্যান্ড ওভার তো আর হবে না, ওদের লাশই পাবো, বলে সেটা পাওয়া যায় না। We are already promise bound to follow the Geneva Convention. Then at exactly at 5, all the officers and soldiers came, took off their epaulets, took off their belt and placed them in front of them and surrendered. তারপর ওদের সব ইন্ডিয়ান আর্মি সব করে এনেছিল, lined up a huge convoy of trucks. তার মধ্যে তারা উঠে taken to
POW camps. And after that, you were still in Khulna at that time.
No, he came back. Came back to Calcutta. And that report, because there was the Indian Army had not allowed any correspondent to, not allowed any foreign correspondent to come and cover the Khulna battle. They were all stopped at a place called, I forget the name.
Dolat?
No, they had been stopped. One of them was Arangatan. One of them was Martin Mulakot of Guardian. He read my report, my Khulna surrender ceremony report, came running to Statesman and said, Shunandu Dattorai ছিল আমাদের তখন ন্যাশনাল এডিটর, তাকে এসে বলল, your report is one of the best I have ever read.
He said this about you.
And he said, you know what I have done? I have quoted his entire report by name in my report to Guardian about the Khulna battle. So, he was nice and gracious enough to send me a congratulatory letter also, saying that I really enjoyed reading your report on Khulna surrender, which was outstanding in terms of journalistic excellence. So this is the story.
So, I mean, you worked as a war correspondent. So after that, you stayed in Statesman.
I was posted in Dhaka for 4 years. For 3 years. From
till the Mujib killing happened, I guess.
No, before Mujib I came over.
Okay.
I went to Dhaka on 22nd December along with Tajuddin.
Okay.
When he and his entire government shifted to Dhaka. And I was there for 3 years. 75 March I came back to Calcutta. And
then he joined Statesman office.
No, here in was posted back to Statesman office. So this is the story.
After that, how was your journalism career in India?
Journalism, I was made special representative for Eastern India, which meant that I had to cover the whole of Eastern India, from Assam, Northeast, to Bengal politics, Odisha politics also. This was my area of operation, which is very wide, very vast.
Have you been to Bangladesh after not just working as a statesman, but
many times.
This was all during the Victory Day celebrations?
Not always. I'd been there on invitations. They have held seminars, Mukti Yoddha Jadughar, Mukti Jodha Parishad, they have held seminars in which I was one of the participants.
Talking
So,
about your experience as a journalist.
As a journalist.
You seeing the genocide itself, like you were not you're not somebody from East Pakistan, you're from India. So you being an observer of what had happened and reporting it back to the free world, it must have been a huge step for people to know, especially being a journalist.
It was, because I had never seen, as I told you about that chachol, bodies being stacked like pyramid. It was a hellish experience. I had never seen anything of killing of that kind ever. So that night I could not sleep, though that was one of my journalistic career's most challenging nights.
Right.
In the sense that I had covered something
So ghastly.
so ghastly. Not only ghastly, I had covered for the first time a foreign correspondent had gone over to Bangladesh and made on-the-spot reporting,
Right.
which appeared in Indian Daily and which made the Western press take note of what was happening inside East Pakistan there.
Right.
In fact, that report, Jasor report, was tipped off the foreign correspondents that something serious was happening. Serious resistance was being given to the Pakistan military. Pakistan military was not having a very easy time in Bangladesh. All of them, all the foreign correspondents started coming to Calcutta after reading that report, Jasor report. That was my achievement. I made the whole world aware, especially the journalistic world aware as to what was happening in East Pakistan. Yeah, that real fight was being given by the Bengalis to the Pakistanis to earn independence.
And actually a great honor learning all of these history from you, sir. And
no, my pleasure.
I would actually want the entire world to know that not only, as I can say, civilians or rebels or the Indian army fought against the Pakistanis, but also journalists like you played a very vital role in bringing this history out and even bringing the reports out in time so that everybody could get to know what is happening. I mean, as far as I know, being on spot, risking your own life for another country's independence, that is exceptional, I guess. Very few individuals can do something like that.
Dipodati, frankly speaking, at times, I wonder now that how could I do all that? I really at times.
You're not a soldier at all.
I was not a soldier.
You're not trained for all of this.
I was not trained. I was not a war correspondent. Nothing of the kind. I had no training at all. I used to cover only police beat, corporation beat, this kind of beat I used to cover.
That too in Calcutta.
That too in Calcutta. It's one of the and from there, well, I had that fire in me that I must tell the world as to what was happening inside Bangladesh. I had a feeling for them. So unless I had the feeling, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have done what I did. So I had the feeling for the Bengalis. I don't know what to call them, Bengalis or Bengalis or Bangladeshis. But I think they are all sudden they are still Bengalis. They are still Bengalis. I had a feeling for Bengalis, though I am not from that part of the country.
Yeah.
I am a Ghoti and I am a Provashi. I am born and brought up in Delhi. But yet I had such a feeling for their struggle.
Has been an honor talking to you, sir. And
I'll give you my book. You read the book.
I will, sir.
And it's a present from me. It's a token of love.
Thank you so
and
much.
affection from me, Dibodati. Keep it.
I will need it. I will need it.
I'll give you the book. You deserve it.
Thank you so much.